What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We got a few more matches to go through. The Barcelona Open with the qualifiers all filled in now. Let's take a look at the draw. Here's a look at Alcaraz's half of the draw. First match we're going to look at is Alcaraz against Virtanen. Virtanen coming through qualifying, beating Vukic in 3 sets and Mueller in straight sets. Pretty good win for Virtanen over Mueller. Mueller's been playing pretty solid clay court tennis, and honestly, it seems to me like since that retirement against Jodar for Mueller, he's kind of taken a step back here on the clay. So we might want to look out for that as well when he starts to go up against some of these guys in qualifiers. Virtanen sitting at 2-2 on the clay this year, has those 2 wins in qualifiers, and then lost to Murita in Bucharest in the first round in 3 tough sets, and Ethan Quinn in 3 sets in Monte Carlo qualifying first round. Virtanen was 5-9 on the clay last year and 5-7 on the clay in 2024. Carlos Alcaraz, what can we say about him? I mean, just a tough match against Sinner today, losing 7-6, 6-3. He's obviously going to come in and be extremely ticked off. He's going to be gunning for this tournament title. I'm sure he's not happy with how this match went for him. He had plenty of opportunities, being up a break in the first set and up a break in the second set, but not able to hold on to either. So he's definitely going to be gunning here to feel like he needs to get right on the clay here and get a tournament under his belt. Alcaraz 4-1 right now on the clay, 22-1 last year, 17-4 the year before. He's going to be a very, very tough out for Virtanen. No head-to-head for these guys yet. Virtanen's spent about 3 hours and 45 minutes on the clay so far in Barcelona, so he'll be very familiar with the surface. Maybe a little bit tired, but most likely not. I mean, there's not really much more I want to say here about this match. I'm going to go with Alcaraz to win here in straights. I think he's going to come out and he's going to be extremely motivated. He's going to have the home crowd with him as well. So give me Alcaraz to advance in straight sets. Next match is Martinez against Sonego. And I know you guys are probably thinking, where has Sonego been? We haven't seen his name in any of these draws. We haven't seen him play at all. And he's actually been suffering from a wrist injury. So very important for us when we're looking at here for the picks. We got to make sure he's been out since the Australian Open. His last match was that straight set loss to Musetti back in Australia. So he's been recovering for a couple of months from a wrist injury. Sonego also has not found much success on the clay in recent years. 1-5 last year on the clay, 10-11 the year before. Hasn't had a winning season on the clay since 9-7. So how will he look coming into this match, his first match in about 2.5 months? Martinez, on the other hand, able to go over 500 for his record on the clay. He's 7-6 now with his 2 qualifier wins, beating Buse by retirement and then beating Trungelliti, the Cinderella of Marrakesh, who was able to make it out to the finals there. Beating Trungelliti in 3 sets, 5-7, 7-6, 6-1. That's a nice win for Martinez, especially since we had talked about, his game has kind of been, I don't know if I would want to say deteriorating, but he hasn't been playing great tennis. We saw him get picked apart by Altmaier in Bucharest, and this was an Altmaier that was on his, at that time it was his 7th match in 8 or 9 days. So Altmaier's still able to make easy work of him. Martinez did play in Monte Carlo. He didn't make it out of the qualifying, lost in 3 sets to JM Cerundolo. That's a pretty tough player to go up against on the clay. Head-to-head, these guys have not met before. Oh, sorry, they have played. Martinez was able to get a win in 2025 in Monte Carlo, 6-4, 1-6, 6-2 over Sonego in the first round. One of Sonego's 5 losses on the clay. Martinez was 7-15 last year on the clay, 27-13 the year before. He's found success on the clay, but not in recent years. and he's starting to turn it around a little bit here. I wasn't able to catch any of his match, but obviously I know Trungelliti playing good clay court tennis right now, so I trust that that's a good win for him. Looking at these two guys, I mean, this to me is going to be a coin flip. I I'm going to go with Martinez. I got to go with the guy that one has the familiarity on the surface now. Two has a 7-6 clay court record. He's played 13 matches now on the surface. So very familiar there, and has had recent success or previous success, not so much recent, previous success on the clay before. I think Martinez is going to be able to grind out this match against Sonego. I'll be interested to see how Sonego plays here. Obviously, he's going to be looking to come back. I don't think he really weighs his success on the clay too much. I think he wants to make sure that he's ready to come back for the hard court season where he's had a lot of his success. But for now, give me Martinez to advance in straight sets. Next match, we have DeMinaur playing Ofner. Ofner able to get through the qualifiers, beating Sanchez Quilles in the first round 6-4, 6-4, and Kipson 6-4, 6-4. I don't know if I would really call those great wins to get out of the qualifiers. It seems like a little bit of an easier draw for Ofner, especially considering there were a lot of talented players in the qualifying draw. Ofner sitting at 7-3 right now on the clay. Most of those wins have been on the challenger level. Now he has to go against the Demon. DeMinaur coming off a tough loss in 3 sets in the Monte Carlo quarterfinals to Vachereau 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. He was able to beat Norrie and blocks before that. Got his revenge over Cam Norrie. DeMinaur 2-1 right now on the clay, 10-5 last year, 10-5 the year before. Pretty consistent, doesn't really do much on the clay, but is always able to get out to the quarters or semis and kind of challenge some of these players a little bit. Ofner, on the other hand, is 7-3 right now on the clay, 16-10 last year, 8-13 the year before. That 7-3, those 7 wins were mostly in challenger level. This is the first time he's been able to step up here and get out to a 500 level event. Head-to-head is 1-0 for DeMinaur. He got a win over Ofner in 2024 Acapulco second round. That was 6-1, 6-3 on the outdoor hard courts. I don't think there's really much more that I want to add to this. I think this is going to be DeMinaur all the way. We talk about he doesn't win these clay titles. He doesn't even make it to the finals, but he's always consistently in those quarterfinal or maybe semifinal of a lower tier tournament like this spots. So we can always expect him to be consistent there. I don't see him getting out to and beating Alcaraz in the semis. But I could see him getting out to the quarterfinals at least here. So give me DeMinaur to advance over Ofner in straight sets. This next match is going to be a very exciting one. We have Trungelliti taking on Medjedovic. Both guys playing very solid clay court tennis recently. Trungelliti not being able to get out of the qualifying, losing to Martinez in 3 sets, beat Budkov Jair in 3 sets. But loses to Martinez 6-1 in the third, then gets the call for the lucky loser spot. So he's able to take that spot. He's going to play Medjedovic. Medjedovic, a very tough clay quarter. He was able to get out of qualifying, beating Galbis and Quinton Halys 7-6 in the third. Medjedovic is sitting at 7-1 right now on the clay, 6-5 last year, 15-8 the year before. Trungelliti, on the other hand, is 14-3 on the clay this year, 42-19 last year, 31-15 the year before. He does prefer the clay more than any other surface. He's had his most success here. And we remember Trungelliti as the Cinderella of Marrakesh, being able to get out to the finals, playing Jodar and losing 6-3, 6-2 in the finals, but being able to beat Darderi, Moutet, Machac, Roca, Sakamoto, and Barton on the way there. Very incredible run, dropping only 1 set on his way to the finals. Medjedovic, on the other hand, loss in the first round of Marrakesh to Vit Capriva, but we remember that loss, very tough fought, 6-7, 7-5, 6-2, and he only had a day's rest before getting out there to Marrakesh because he played the Naples Challenger the week before, and that Sunday he was able to beat Altmaier 6-2, 6-4. Couple of nice wins in this in the Naples Challenger, beating Sachko, Mueller, Saccarides, and Barton. Like, we remember Saccarides coming out of I believe it was Bucharest, and then Mueller's been playing pretty solid clay court tennis. And Sachko, we always see his name floating around in the qualifying draws and sometimes the 250 tournaments. Altmaier, we know, is a pretty solid clay courter as well. Medjedovic was only that one loss to Capriva, and honestly, I kind of marked that loss as like a asterisk type loss because it was such a tough turnaround. You would expect him to really struggle there, especially against a guy as strong as Capriva. Looking at their head-to-head, these guys have not played before, so this will be their first meeting here in Barcelona. I do want to note here that Trungelliti is at 5 hours and 14 minutes on the clay. That is insane for his two qualifier matches. So he's put in a lot of hours, but how many times did we say that in Marrakesh? And I said, if this goes 3, he's not going to be able to get it done, and then he just wins in straight sets. So I think he's in very, very fit shape here, that he's going to be able to push Medjedovic. Medjedovic, 4 hours and 17 minutes on the clay for his two qualifying matches. If Trungelliti beat Martinez, I think I would be a little bit more gung-ho for Trungelliti. But the problem is, seeing that 6-1 loss to Martinez is a big-time head-scratcher for me. And I like the consistency that Medjedovic has. I think he's got a good game that's built for the clay. I like that he's 7-1. He's got to have a lot of confidence. He comes in here, wins the first match in straights, and then toughs out a match against Halys. 7-6 in the third is just incredible stuff. That definitely tells you, he's got confidence in his game with what he's doing. I'm going to pick Medjedovic to win this match. I think it's going to be 3 sets. I think Trungelliti is going to be able to push a little bit. Trungelliti having that one very solid 250 tournament, but we got to see if that was a one-hit wonder type thing for us, or is he going to be consistently solid on the clay? I feel like I've seen a little bit more from Medjedovic, and I'm a little bit more comfortable with him with his success on the clay. So give me Medjedovic to advance in 3 sets. And here's a look at Alcaraz's half of the draw. I'm going to go through the matches that we didn't hit on, and just to let you guys know, these were broken down a little bit more in depth in my draw reaction and picks video previously. But I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes here since you're here anyways. So Machac and Baez, this was a super tough match for me to pick. I just haven't seen enough positive tennis from Baez. I was extremely turned off by the fact that he just didn't really adjust his game against Alcaraz. He was able to get the break back, but I felt like a lot of that was due to Alcaraz just throwing in a few too many errors. I didn't think Baez was doing anything different. He plays a little bit too deep. I think if Machac is playing his offensive game, ripping the forehand, coming into net, he's going to really be able to take advantage of Baez. So I got to go with Machac there. He's been playing solid clay court tennis. Tough 3-set loss to Sinner, and we will see how he does against Alcaraz in the round of 16. Navone and Rublev, I loved what I saw from Navone, just coming back from the brink of losing in Bucharest a couple of times, able to fight back and get through there. He seems to have found his footing on the clay. I love what I'm seeing from him. I do not like what I'm seeing from Rublev. I just feel like he's a little bit uncomfortable. He seemed to have a slight injury too in Monte Carlo, so we got to keep out for that. I think Navone is going to be able to grind out a win over Rublev there. Borges and Mannarino. You got two guys that just haven't found any success at all on the clay or any success on the on the year either. Mannarino having a little bit of success in Montpellier on the indoor hard courts, but he's not a guy that enjoys the clay courts. I gotta pick Borges here. This is kind of like a big time coin flip for me. Whoever kind of comes out and plays good on their day is gonna win. Mannarino had a set and a break, set and 2-0 lead over Merida, and just lets that go completely, only winning 2 games after that. That's just a guy that I can't trust when I'm making a pick. So I gotta go with Borges there. And Etcheverry and Draper, we got Draper coming back. He took a little bit of a rest after that Indian Wells run. Didn't play Monte Carlo, and now he's ready to go for the clay season. Etcheverry's going to have a lot to say here. We remember Etcheverry from that tough 3-setter that he played in Monte Carlo against Alcaraz. I think he's going to really, if Draper's not on his game and he's not playing his aggressive tennis, I think Etcheverry's really going to take advantage of that. If Draper's hitting a lot on 4 serves, which he is prone to, I think Etcheverry's going to take advantage of that. So I got to go with the guy that has had a lot of success on the clay, that can grind out some of these longer points, that's going to get Draper's serve back and make him play a lot of long points. I'm going to go with that guy. So I'm going with Etcheverry to advance in that one. Just looking at the half, the Alcaraz half overall, I mean, you look at the guys that I picked, we would only have 2 seeds remaining in this half of the draw by the round of 16, which would be kind of crazy. I kind of see it as a collision course for an Alcaraz DeMinaur semifinal. I'm curious about that Machac match against Alcaraz if that gets through. And then if it's Baez, I'm curious to see maybe if Baez can do a little bit more, if he's going to make some adjustments after just playing Carlos in Monte Carlo. I don't see people like Sonego, Martinez, Navone, even Rublev if he gets through. I don't see any of those guys challenging Alcaraz. So his tougher match would probably be the round of 16 match to get out there. And on the other side, I mean, I think DeMinaur is going to be able to advance there. I think he's going to be able to take care of Medjedovic. DeMinaur's game is always extremely. He can take care of the lower, your top, outside the top 20 type guys. He can take care of those guys. The problem is once he starts to play some of the higher level guys and they're roping forehands left and right, it becomes a lot tougher for him to beat them. But I like DeMinaur to advance out to the semifinals and play Carlos, and I like Carlos making it out to the finals. Let's move on to the next half of the draw. And here's a look at Musetti's half of the draw. We only have one match to talk about to go, and that is Opelka against Quinn. Quinn able to get out of the qualifying. He was able to beat Basilashvili in 3 sets and then beat Merida. You know, Merida having a pretty good showing in Bucharest, and Quinn beating him 6-3, 6-1. Very impressive, but when you think about Merida's game, if you can kind of take that offense to him, it's a lot harder to beat a guy like that. And I didn't watch this match, but I assume that the Quinn forehand looked great. The Quinn serve looked great. Ethan Quinn was probably serving and volleying. So just a lot of offense where Merida's not able to kind of get into that grinding type style because a lot of the points are under 4, 5, 6 shots. Now he takes on Opelka, and if you remember, this is a rematch of the Indian Wells, that stinker that Quinn kind of put in against Opelka, where we really thought that he was going to win that match. You know, he was playing pretty good tennis up till then, but loses in the first round, 7-5, 7-6 to Opelka. Pretty nice win for Riley Opelka. And we remember Opelka goes on and he pushes Ben Shelton to the limit as well. He's always got a tough game, you know, with that serve, with that big forehand. Extremely tricky to play. You're not going to get into much of a rhythm. I like the fact that Quinn came out of qualifying here, though, because he's already found his rhythm. He's already found his rhythm on clay. Quinn is 4-2 right now on the clay. 11-6 last year, 2-7 the year before. Opelka, on the other hand, this would be his first match on the clay. and he was 5-6 last year, and he did not play a match on the clay in 2024 or 2023. I believe that was due to injury. So only 5 wins for Opelka in the last 3 years on the clay. Doesn't really like this surface. I don't blame him. His game is not built for grinding out tough clay court wins. I gotta go with Quinn here in the revenge spot. I think that he's definitely been thinking about that. They're both Americans. This is kind of a big moment for Ethan Quinn to assert himself a little bit over a veteran on the tour like Riley Opelka. So I think Ethan Quinn's going to win this match. I think he's going to do it in straights. It wouldn't surprise me if it was 3, especially given the fact that he's played more. He's already played 6 matches on the clay, right? He's already played 6 matches on the clay. So he has a little bit of a comfort compared to Opelka, who hasn't played a single match on the clay yet this season. I think that's going to mean a little bit, especially for the footing, the way you kind of move on the clay comfortably. Quinn's already played his 2 qualifying matches. He has his rhythm. So give me Ethan Quinn to advance here in straight sets. Next match is Fils and Atmane. And guys, I haven't seen this before so Vatrero pulled out, right? He was the 6th seed. And they moved Fils up to the seeded position and then replaced Fils with Juan Manuel Cerundolo. I guess that this was in like a little quad of the draw. That works, but it does seem a little bit weird that they did that. And I'm sure they're allowed to do it. I just found it really interesting that they moved Fils up, and we gotta think, guys, is Fils gonna be happier to play Atmane over Nakashima? Atmane now a fellow Frenchman for him. They haven't played before, so we know Atmane's going to be very motivated to play someone like Arthur Fils. And obviously, I did the breakdown video with my fantasy team, guys. I have Fils on my team, and now I'm kind of nervous here. I don't like that Frenchman versus Frenchman matchup. It kind of worries me here, so I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. But let's break down this match all the same. No head-to-head for these guys here. Fils, we remember, able to make that run out to the quarterfinals of Indian Wells, losing to Zverev in straights, and then the semifinals of Miami, losing to Lehechka in straights. Great matches for Arthur Fils, including that Tommy Paul classic match where Fils was able to save multiple match points against Paul. He hasn't played a match on the clay, but he found a lot of success on the clay in the previous years. 10-4 last year, 14-10 the year before. Terence Atmane, on the other hand, coming off a tough 3-set loss to Etcheverry. We know Etcheverry having a great clay season, so not a bad loss for Terence Atmane. I felt like he got a little bit tired trying to step around and hit that lefty forehand. He likes to hide the backhand from some of these guys, and in order to do that, he has to have the speed to get around the ball. But the first set and a half, he had a lot of success doing that. Then towards the end, he really struggled to do that consistently there. Loses the third set 6-2. Atmane sitting at 1-1 this year on the clay, 3-4 last year, 5-5 the year before that. As we mentioned before, no head-to-head for these guys here. I'm going to stick with Fils. I feel like I'd be an idiot to have him on my team and not pick him here. I do worry about this match, though. One, if you're Arthur Fils, you were just planning to play Brendan Nakashima. I'm not sure if he's playing tomorrow or the day after, so now you have either 24 hours, 48 hours to prepare for that match. 2, you're playing a fellow Frenchman who's going to be going all out against you, for sure, because he wants to prove himself. And 3, this is your first match on the clay against a guy that has already played 2 matches in Monte Carlo. Nakashima did not play on the clay. So There's a little bit going against him. I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to say it's going to be 3 sets. I have a weird feeling that it's going to take Feast a little bit of time to kind of get grooved in here. Look for Atmane to hit big to that Feast backhand. But I love what I've been seeing from Feast. I think he's going to be able to find a way to get through this match. So give me Feast to advance in 3 sets. And quick correction, guys. I said that Nakashima hadn't played any matches on the clay. He's played 2. He played over in Houston, so that was my bad there. He was 1-1, won 1 match in Houston, lost 1 match. We'll go over that right now. We have Nakashima taking on Juan Manuel Cerundolo. Cerundolo getting through the qualifiers, beating Etcheverry and de Jong, both in straight sets. He improves to 10-6 on the clay this year. He was 39-19 last year, 46-25 the year before that. Nakashima, on the other hand, he's coming off that tough loss to Burruchaga in 3 sets, and we know Burruchaga able to make it out to the finals, give Tommy Paul everything he can handle, but not enough. The nerves kind of played a little bit of havoc there for Burruchaga. He had tons of chances to win that tournament, but not able to convert. Tommy Paul survives and gets the win there. Nakashima also having a win over Martin Dam, the big server, big hitter. Not really a clay style that's attuned for the clay there. So we're not too surprised that Nakashima was able to run through that, especially with his return. Nakashima 1-1 on the clay this year, 6-8 on the clay last year, 13-7 on the clay the year before. Head-to-head here is 2-0 for Nakashima, but both their matches were played a little bit long ago. So 2020, they played an M25 where Nakashima was able to win 6-3, 6-0. In 2021, Nakashima defeated Cerundolo in Milan. That was in the Next Gen ATP Finals. 4-1, 3-4, 4-1, 4-0 on indoor hard courts. So, to no surprise, Nakashima is going to have success over Juan Manuel Cerundolo on the hard court surface, where he's able to play first strike tennis. I mean, also, let's keep in mind, Juan Manuel Cerundolo, career-wise on the outdoor hard courts, is 21-24. Indoor hard courts, he's 0-4. He's never won a match on the indoor hard court surface. He's also never won a match on grass, so let's keep that in mind as we move to the grass season too. Juan Manuel Cerundolo had a tough match in Monte Carlo first round, losing to Valentin Vacaro, who was able to make it all the way out to the semifinals. And this match at the beginning was being, I don't know if I want to say dominated, because dominate makes it sound like Cerundolo's kind of doing whatever he wants, but he was winning most of these points by just relying on some of the Vacaro errors. We saw some nerves from Vacaro playing this match, and Cerundolo had tons of chances in the winning the first set, and then had a few chances to stay with him in the second set. But Vacaro turning the momentum at around, I think it was like 2-0 or 3-2, being able to just take the racket out of Cerundolo's hands. He started to use a little bit more serve +1, return +1, and taking advantage of the Cerundolo defense. Cerundolo doesn't have many weapons other than his speed. So if he's able to get some errors from you, that's how he's going to make a living. But if you kind of tighten it up, or you're able to hit a little bit more aggressively, it's going to challenge Cerundolo a lot. And that's one thing that I want to bring up here. Burruchaga, a very similar game style to Cerundolo. He just played lockdown tennis in Houston against Nakashima, getting a few extra unforced errors. And, there's no doubt in my mind that after that match, Nakashima's going to go back to the tape. He's going to watch that match. He's going to figure out what he needs to do to be a little bit better on the clay and to have a little bit more success on the clay. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a different Nakashima, and then maybe a different Nakashima approach here against someone like Burruchaga. My guess is, especially if they're able to analyze that Vacaro match, I think Nakashima can do something very similarly. He doesn't have the powerful forehand that Vacaro has, but he's got the ability to play up at net, to do some serve and volleys, to kind of make the points a little bit shorter against Cerundolo. Because I think the longer you play those points, the more it's going to benefit Juan Manuel Cerundolo. So I really think that Nakashima is going to come in here to right some wrongs against a very similar playing style. I think this is going to be a tough 3-setter no matter what. But I'm thinking that Nakashima is going to be able to win this one. I always love the way Nakashima returns. Doesn't matter what surface it is. It could be on the moon, and I'm still going to like the way Nakashima returns. So that's going to definitely bother Cerundolo too. We know he doesn't have a very strong second serve. Nakashima is going to be able to take advantage of that. Look for Nakashima to play a little bit more faster points there. Not high risk, but just trying to rush Cerundolo into some offense. I'm going to go Nakashima. I think he's going to advance in 3 sets. Give me Nakashima in 3. Here's William Musetti's half of the draw, and there are a few matches that I went over in my draw prediction and first-round picks. So if you guys want a little bit more of an in-depth coverage, you can go over there. But I'll give you the cliff notes on these. Norrie and Stan. I think it's going to be obviously a big-time crowd for Stan. They're going to be cheering him on. But we haven't seen much success from Stan on the clay as of late. He hasn't looked great. The movement's a little bit questionable. I think he's going to have some big shots in this match, but I don't think they're going to be enough to beat Norrie. I see Norrie as the steadier player, and I think he's going to advance in straights in this match. Munar and Jodar, this is a battle of the two Spanish players, and I love the way Jodar is playing. Munar coming off of, I believe it was a leg injury, so we got to see how the movement is. That's something that he really relies on there, and if that's not there, he's going to struggle a lot. But I love what I've been seeing from Jodar coming off that Marrakesh win. So I think we're going to see a lot of good tennis here on the clay. He surprised me on the clay surface with the way that he moves and how confidently he's able to slide in and hit his forehand. So I'm going with Jodar here to advance over Munar. Carabelli and Khachanov. I was wildly disappointed with what I saw from Khachanov in the last tournament. Carabelli's always been the type of clay quarter that can kind of grind out some of these matches. Doesn't have any really amazing shots, but he can just rely on your errors and force you into mistakes. So I got to go with Carabelli. He's played a lot more clay court tennis than Khachanov has this year, so I got to trust that. I think this is going to be a close match, and if we're talking about a close match, I got to go with the guy that has played way more matches and trusts his footing on this surface. Buse and Moutet. I mean, you guys know I'm a big Buse fan. It's really tough for me to pick against him. Moutet is a very tough customer. I think that's going to be a tricky match for sure. Moutet's got that heavy spin forehand. He can come in. He's got his drop shots. He's going to be working the legs of Buse, but Buse is extremely fast. He can rope the forehand. I expect him to advance here. And Musetti and Landaluce, this is going to be a primetime match. I mean, you got the Miami quarterfinalists taking on Musetti. But this is a must-win situation for Musetti. He's got to win this match. He cannot keep losing all these first-round matches. At some point, he's got to kind of get the year back on track. We haven't seen quality tennis from him since the Australian Open, since that retirement against Novak Djokovic. I think he's going to be able to right some wrongs here and take out Landaluce in impressive fashion. So I think Musetti's going to advance there in straight sets to the round of 16. Looking at the draw overall, guys, I really like Feast getting out there to the quarterfinals against Musetti. I think that's going to be a very tricky matchup. Especially, I like if Feast can get through Atmane. I think he gets through the winner of Nakashima Cerundolo. Then he plays, Buse, Moutet, Landaluce, or Musetti. I like that as well. I like him there as well to get out to the semis at least. We just got to see how Feast looks. If Musetti's able to beat Feast, I think that's a very strong win for him, even though it would be Feast's third match on the clay. I still think that would be a very good win. If Musetti's able to get out to the finals here, I think that's a huge plus, win or lose, to kind of get the year going. On the other side of the draw, I mean, I probably see Jodar. I would love to see that Jodar get out there to the semifinals and play maybe Musetti or Feast. I think that would be awesome. He hasn't really made any bigger moves here in the higher level tournaments just yet. We did see that win in Marrakesh in an ATP 250. So hopefully we start to see him start to make some of these bigger moves. I think it's always progressive steps, guys. First, you're going to make the bigger. You're going to win those 250s. You're going to make some big moves in the 500s, and then you're going to make some big moves in the Masters Series and eventually into the Grand Slams. Can he do that in 1 year? He could. He's got a lot of talent, so we'll see how Jodar pans out there. But I'm still going with Fils to get out of this half here, guys. I love the tennis that I saw from him on in Miami and in Indian Wells, and I liked what I saw from him last year on the clay here in Barcelona as well. So I think Fils is going to advance out to the final. Thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We have another video out on the Munich Open, finishing up those qualifier matches as well. So make sure you check that out to keep up on everything tennis. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.